Hello everybody, welcome back to another video, and in this video I'm gonna be telling you about the Sculk and Warden development we learned about a couple of days ago. So if you like this video, then please make sure you leave a like and subscribe to the channel for more Minecraft 1.19 news and other Minecraft videos. And so the day before yesterday, a new video got uploaded to the official Minecraft YouTube channel, and it was about the Warden. And so all the footage I will show in this video is from that video, so credit goes to the Minecraft YouTube channel. Of course, I'll leave a link to the original video in the description down below. But a lot of the stuff they just glanced over, and I think it is a good idea to take a better look at all the cool development images they shared, all types of concept arts, and even a prototype version of the Warden that looks nothing like the Warden we have today, but we'll get into that later on in the video. So we'll start off with the development of the Sculk. So of course currently Sculk is the blocks we see on screen right here, but this is not what Sculk looked like in the beginning, because of course, Mojang goes through a whole lot of different versions of these types of things before they settle on the version that's gonna be added into the game. So let's take a look at the different Sculk variations. So here we can see a first concept idea for the Sculk. In this case they thought of using rust. So it says the catalyst can be a rotten, crumbling rust block and a spreading rust with rust veins. And so these are versions of the Sculk block, the Sculk vein and the Sculk catalyst, but then for rust, which was one of the original ideas. Then here's another idea where the Sculk was actually bones. So the Sculk catalyst could be a mesh of cracked bones and a corrupted mesh of twisted and cracked bones, along with unearthed bones and fangs would spread throughout your world, and they could also have some weird bones coming out of the ground. Then they also thought of using corruption, like in Terraria, where adjacent blocks are overtaken by corruption and the next one by corruption veins. The corruption constantly emits dark particles that float up until they vanish into smoke, and the texture of the corruption feels like some sort of exposed opening where you see the veins or the textile material that holds everything together, and beyond that there would just be a pure black void. This is a similar idea, but this time the corruption is black with purple stripes, and they also mention more of a corruption that spreads through geometric paths. And so apparently they really liked this idea because they had another iteration here with a catalyst being a pure corruption pitch black block. And they mentioned that some VFX could be used to add flies to give a rotten feeling. And they also mentioned here that a sort of hollow disease would make holes in regular blocks until they are completely hollow and completely black like the catalyst. And so the last concept iteration we have here is the concept inspired by trypophobia, the fear of clusters of holes. And this was actually a quite far in development idea, as we'll see later on. And so the catalyst would be a mesh of mixed flesh and hole clusters emitting particles that look like spores or smoke. And it could spread with veins that create small nests which burst into holes. So the Sculk would be a texture disease that creates these holes, clusters and corrupt blocks, revealing the dark void of the hollow through their disgusting holes, is what it says. Alright, so far that's it for Sculk development. Now let's talk about the Warden. So there was a lot of information revealed about the Warden, but we also got a better look at the Warden itself. There were also some jokes in there, like this one over here, but it's still nice to see the Warden doing some animations. So here we see another animation of the Warden being angry at us. And so you could see something like this when the Warden is attacking you. Of course, here it's really nice because you can see the Warden very well. There is no darkness effect and you're not in a cave. And this is just a nice render of the Warden. So it's actually a good opportunity to get a better look at the Warden itself. And here we actually have a chase scene where the narrator gets chased by the Warden. And we can see the Warden walking animation. And so then before we go into the development versions of the Warden, let's actually look at what names the Warden had before it actually was called the Warden. So this is what was shown during the video, and the last point mentions that literally only the first two are names the Mojang team actually considered. And so for all you know, the Warden could have been called the Stalker or the Hollowed. And so here again we see the word hollow. We also saw that in the concept for Sculk inspired by trypophobia, where you could see the hollow through the holes. So those are most likely connected. Then we move on to some early concept art of the Warden, or as it was then called, the Stalker. And so already here we can see some of the features the current Warden also has, like souls in its chest and also that it can hear vibrations. And so here it says ears light up when near sound particles, and VFX can come closer to the ears in this moment. We can also have some kind of sound waves coming out of the ears, which we got later on from the Warden. And so the Stalker leans towards the sound emission point, turning around. Maybe the ear can become slightly bigger, close to the sound emission. So some of these ideas were continued through into the current version of the Warden, some of them weren't. Then here we have an image with many different versions of what the Warden could look like, or the Stalker, or the Hollowed. And so the image is not that high quality, so I can't really read what it says on the top left, but there seems to be some sort of transformation happening, where the Warden gets on 4 feet from walking on 2, which is an idea they had, which wasn't implemented later on. On the top right, there is also the Hollowed, where you can see inside the creature, and you can see its guts and etc. And so some sort of bioluminescent inside looks like a disgusting constellation, which later turned into the souls we see in the Warden's chest. On the bottom left, we can see that that concept had a semi-transparent body with no eyes. Ears are huge and almost look like eyes. And it actually looks a little bit like a hammerhead shark. And so at the bottom right, we also have like a crying obsidian version and a overgrown version, which look incredible. There's also a sort of wither version on the bottom. And there are also versions with flowers on their heads in the center. So some really interesting ideas over here. And some of these look incredible. Would have been amazing in the game. But the Warden is also incredible, of course. And so really excited to see that. Then here we have some more concept art versions. So on the left, we have a weird smiling creature with a body made of scales, and on the right is a creature that looks like an albino owl, and it spreads its ears only when detecting sound, assuming this menacing shape we can see. And there's also version D on the top right, a rotting creature wearing a skull mask that looks like an undead being. Bones are showing where the flesh is rotten. And so this version was actually thought out a bit more, where they also had a hunchback version made of sculk material that is spreading throughout the Warden's body. And we can also see on the right that they would have a trail of particles behind it. And on the bottom left, we see that they were thinking about what type of shape they should give the ears of the Warden. And so this version was actually inspired by the trypophobia block, and we can see a couple more versions here, where the first one is overtaken by the Hollow with bandages, the second one is overtaken by the Hollow, half rotten flesh, half pale flesh. Ears can light up when active. Then overtaken by the Hollow, giant menacing fangs. And the final version here is almost fully rotten, with some parts still being consumed by the Hollow corruption, and a bat-inspired face. And so the third version we see over here actually got a bit further in development than the others, because they actually made a prototype version, which we can see here in this video. And so here we can actually see that the Hollow inside the Hollowed, as I'll call it here, is actually made up of the end portal texture. And so it's really cool to see such an early development version of the Warden. There are some features that the Warden still has, but in the end they did go in a completely different direction with the Sculk instead of the trypophobia with the holes. And then the final piece of concept art we have over here are different iterations for the ears of the Warden that didn't make it into the game. And so this was of course really important, because the Warden being able to hear vibrations is one of its key mechanics. And so I'm really glad they didn't go for the second one here, because that makes the Warden a whole lot less menacing. And so there we go. Those are the different Sculk and Warden variations that the Mojang team has considered over the, I believe, past years. And also some Warden animations we hadn't seen yet, along with the prototype version of the Warden that looked absolutely crazy. And so that is all for today. Which kind of Warden did you like the best? Let me know in the comments down below. And so if you like this video, then please make sure you leave a like and subscribe to the channel for more Minecraft 1.19 news and other Minecraft videos. I want to thank my tier 3 member, Smikala. Thank you so much for becoming a tier 3 member. If you also want to become a member, click the blue join button below the video to check out the different tiers. But there we go. I hope you all enjoyed and I hope so in the next one. So until then, bye bye.